Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I am excited to share some deep mysteries with you guys, and I want to start this, and I never say this in the beginning, but I am imploring you to stay till the end of this episode because there are so many beautiful codes that are coming through a beautiful channel, and I'm excited to decode it with you guys. So I'm going to start first by talking about an experience that I had about a year and a half ago. I haven't talked about this experience because it happened in a healing session that I had for someone, and it felt like I have shared it in the energy tribe, but it felt kind of sacred and also not timely for me to share it. And maybe also like I didn't know how it fit, I guess is a good way to say that. So in this session I was doing, it was a healing session. As I was in the chakras and moving the energy, I looked up and I started to see rainbows come in. And this has never happened to me before or since. So I was noticing as the client was laying down with their eyes closed that all of these rainbows were coming in over her. And it got my attention so much that I stopped. I picked up my phone and I took a photo of my screen, my Zoom screen. And I went on with the healing. And then I was deeper into clearing the chakras, and I look up again and the rainbows were just so intense. Like they had doubled. Okay. So I decided I don't know what's there, but I'm taking another image. And as I'm experiencing this, I'm telling the client, you have a lot of support coming in right now. There's literally millions of rainbows around you. And that was the end of it. I didn't know at that point a year and a half ago what it meant or what was the purpose. And I shared the images with her and let it go because I didn't know. I was just like, wow, it wasn't there when we started, and it dissipated as the session ended. So I let that go. And then about 6 months later, I was doing something completely different, just hanging out. And all of a sudden I got this knowing that I needed to go back and look at those images. And I was like, that's weird. So I pull open my phone, scroll through 6 months before and find the images. And actually, I don't even think I had them on my phone anymore. I just had the record of me sending them because number one, I don't save photos that I don't need, right? So I found the images though, and I'm looking at them and I see that there is, I'm going to share the two images. So if you are listening to this in the podcast format, please go to YouTube. It's, to me, the most magical thing that I've ever seen with my naked eyes. So I want to share it with you guys. So the first image is when the rainbow started to come in. And now that I can see what actually came in, I can see it's formulating in the first image. But the second image is very clear to me. And what it is it's Jesus. And I was raised Catholic, and I did get confirmed in that religion when I was young, but I'm not a religious person. I never read the Bible. I don't have, and I never have had a relationship with Jesus. But as I saw this image, I was like, okay. And clearly I was meant to take the pictures of it. And I then went on this kind of discovery in myself to understand why. So right after I saw the images in the image, I had was maybe the next week was my session with Allison Coe to do the hypnosis session. So that was one of my questions that I worked through. And if you've listened to that episode, I cut it out because it's personal in that, number one, I wasn't ready to share it, but number two, it involved a client. So I didn't share the story behind it coming through. But in that hypnosis session, what I found out was that it was the likeness of Jesus for me to see in a healing session, to understand that when I open up and I work with someone, it's not, and I think I've talked about this before, I don't know, it's not me doing the healing. I literally just open up myself and receive the messages, and also, depending on what needs to come through, I move it inside of me and move it through the body. And in this particular session, they said that I was meaning, they definitely like lifted my head, because normally I don't really look a lot at the screen. But they wanted me to see that I wasn't doing this by myself, and that I was supported in this healing for this particular person. And obviously that has I would say is a different message for me versus the client herself. And what I would say in that is that we each take from it what the miracle of it was. But I then knew that, I've always known that when I go into someone's energy, there's a lot moving through me. And that's why I don't talk about the healings that I do very often, because they're very personal and so different. Each one is so different depending on what that soul is ready to receive. Now, again, I've never since experienced anything like this before or since. But that was my first encounter with Jesus, and knowing that there is an energy that is supporting us if we are open to receiving it. So then fast forward over a year, I was at a beach ceremony, and we were doing, it actually is when my eye blew up, and I'm still, by the way, working through that integration with my grandmother's lineage. And if you've noticed, my eye is still swollen, and I'm just holding space for it and being as patient as I can be. But in that ceremony, as we were going deep into breath work, Jesus appeared as well. And I remember Leah, who was facilitating that session, at that point, she brought up the Pistis Sophia, and she also talked about Mary Magdalene, and that it was no wonder that Jesus was coming to balance the energy. And I was like, oh, okay, and I knew that Mary Magdalene was calling me back then, because if you have this divine masculine experience around you, you need to counterbalance it with the feminine. And so I started taking, and I mentioned last week this company called Starseed Essences, but before I was able to get my consultation with Sandra, I went to the website and I just tuned into what remedies can I work with before, because it was 3 months out until I was able to work with her directly and get customized remedies. So I went onto the website and I used my pen, whatever stood out to me, I would bring my pendulum and ask, is this really calling me? And most of them were like, no. But the one that was calling me was Mary Magdalene, the Andara essence from Mary Magdalene. So I've been taking this for about 3 months. And then I had my consultation with Sandra, and she checked in with her guides, and they agreed that I still needed this essence. So I knew Mary Magdalene was also trying to make a presence in my experience. So then, in the ceremony that I recently attended, now it's been about a month ago, I believe I talked about this part. As I was in the medicine, my eyes rolled back in my head, and I was, I guess telepathically told that the whites of my eyes, if I allowed my physical eyes to go back, the whites of my eyes were like a portal into other beings, seeing through me. That's how it felt. And as I did that, there was a skylight in the center of the yurt, and I saw that same similar image to the one that I'm sharing with you guys of Jesus come down into the room. Now, I don't remember if I said this in that episode, but later, as we were integrating and having a conversation together, one of my sisters that came with me to that ceremony said that at that time, one of the facilitators, Jonah, embodied an entity, and at one point she said, and his name is Jesus. Now, Jonah is able to fully incorporate, I think it's called, as a medium, energies in her body. In my experience of that moment was I saw it come in, but I knew it was separate from me. It didn't feel like it wanted to come into my body, so I just was in the energy of it. And I was not there consciously, so I did see Jana get up and she was moving around, but I didn't hear what she was saying, and I didn't know she was embodying that energy. So after ceremony, as you guys know, when you go deep into any experience where you're working with things that are coming through you, coming up to be brought to your consciousness, the most important part of this is the integration. And integration can happen from, I would say 1 month to 6 months to a year. And it feels like you open up your vessel in this experience, you receive what you consciously can understand, and then as you move forward through your life in the month to follow, or 6 months, a year, as your vibration raises, the codes that were integrated into your vessel during that ceremony start to drop in. And by that I mean your DNA can understand them. Maybe they're held in your subconscious, but you're consciously not able to really understand what happened. And so as we move forward in the integration period, you start to be like, oh, I've totally forgot that happened. And then all of a sudden it all makes sense. So so we finished ceremony on Sunday, and by Tuesday, Faith, who you guys have met, was one of the people that attended the ceremony. She shared a beautiful story and a beautiful song with the group of us that went to the ceremony. It's very personal, and I've obviously cleared it with her to share her take of what was happening in her integration, and then also this beautiful gift of a song that came through her brother's vessel. Now, it's a lot. I experienced this song again, just days after being in the medicine. And what I would say to that is your vessel is blown open and the medicine lives in you. Like I said, it can be 6 months to a year. So the more sensitive you are to energy, the more that you can feel into the codes of songs, texts, books, anything. Like, you just start to see the mystery behind the music. And when she shared this song with us, I remember feeling like I wanted to bow to him and bow to what it made my body feel. So since that share, which has been over a month ago, it came into my experience that I was now ready to start incorporating more consciously the energy of Mary Magdalene. And that came through in a book that's called The Passion of Mary Magdalene. Now, it's a big book, and I listened to it on Audible. But what happened in my experience of ingesting and imbibing this material is a lot of the memories that I hold of past lives, of also, I would say, archetypal experiences that we carry in our DNA that we're here to move through and transmute. Every woman should experience this book. It tells the story of I guess, of Christ through the lens of Mary Magdalene and her side of the story and how she fits into the picture, and how even at that time, I mean, yes, women were judged and berated and condemned, and all of it is why we are afraid to share our light now. And the only way that we get past that is to remember why we're afraid. It's healing some deep, deep lineage traumas that, as I said, either we experienced in a past life, or even if we didn't, it is in our lineage. So it's moving through these time, space, reality vessels to be healed. And all of us, especially if you're listening to me, we are here to share our truth and our voices. So we have to heal that fearful wound. And I don't know why, and I mean, okay, I would say I know why Mary Magdalene hadn't come in that big of a way until now. Like, as you guys know, I have read many times the Sophia Code, which Mary Magdalene is in that and is part of that transmission. But to go deeper with this, a master teacher has released in me the fears, honestly, that I've been holding. And I'm going to be very vulnerable with this. The main fear in my work is that, am I ready? Am I ready to really teach? Okay. That has been going on in my consciousness for about 1.5 years. And even though I've been doing the steps and I have the outlines and I have some of the classes and now I'm working on the website, like, I still have deep in me, am I ready to bring forward these teachings? And working with this archetype has shown me that all of the things that her, but also we went through to have our truth known back in this time-space reality of Jesus. And I want to share that with you, as it is a deeply coded experience that if you allow yourself to listen to it with an open heart and trying to, at the things that feel sticky, understand that if they're sticky, it's because it's working out those energetic anchors inside of you. So the way I'm going to do this episode is, first I'm going to share the note and transmission that Faith sent to the medicine circle or group of her experience with this, receiving this beautiful gift of this song. Then she did a little short intro with her brother, which his name is Brian, explaining his perspective of the song and how it was downloaded. And then I'm going to share the song. And then after that, and this is why I want you to stay till the end, I have imbibed this song to the point of decoding it for I would say, a different octave. You will understand that Brian received this download and experiences this song through a religious lens, although I even if not conscious of it, is a deeply spiritual man. He gives his interpretation of what the song means to him and how he believes it came through, although he doesn't have a memory of it, how it came through. And so he knows it wasn't coming from him. But as I listened to this song, I felt like so many different messages moving through me to understand the transmission from the perspective of ascension. So please stay till the end where I decode it for you. And then I have the link in the show notes to the song so that you can also experience it as many times as you want. And so open your hearts. Try to find space for this, because this is a transmission, and I'm just so honored that they both felt safe enough to let me put it out to you. And the reason to me is that this energy of Christ and Mary Magdalene are ready to be embodied. And the reason, again, is because we have things that need to be expressed so that we can express our voices in this time space, and we can express why we came. So I will see you on the other side of the song.
Hi girls, I wanted to share something with you. So my youngest brother, his name's Brian. He is a self-taught musician, and he sings and writes songs. And he's in a few different bands, and he does different music projects which are on Spotify, and I can send that to you if you're interested. But what I wanted to share with you today is just a little recording he made on his phone of him just playing for me one of his songs. It's just him and the guitar singing. And, the things he puts on Spotify are very produced with all the different instrumentation and all that. And they're beautiful. They're all amazing songs. But I would say there's a couple different types of songs that he creates. And the things he does with his band, they write the songs kind of together, and it's a collaborative process. Excuse me. But then there are a few very special songs which come through him, just him, when he opens up as a channel. And he's a very, very sensitive, very intuitive soul. And just for a little bit of background and context about who he is and how he lives his life, he's 25, 26 now. And his work is with people who have developmental challenges and special needs. So he's a program director in a social work capacity. That's his full-time job. But he also taught himself Arabic so that he could serve the Syrian refugees in North Carolina, because there's quite a large amount of refugees from Syria in the state of North Carolina. And for many years he was doing volunteer work, and he wanted to become a translator. And so, yes, he taught himself Arabic to be in service. So he definitely lives his life in such a way as to be a very clear channel. And he is given songs from time to time, which are, when he plays these songs for me, and when I tell him, Brian, this is the most amazing song I've ever heard, he says, I know, because I didn't write it. You know what I mean? He's just so aware that this is coming through him, and there's so many codes in these songs. And I'm going to share one with you here today. And it's also because of the timing is very interesting. Excuse me. Basically, I've been asking him for, over a year now, if I could have a recording of these songs, because he hasn't recorded these or produced these at all. So the only time I've heard these songs is when he's played them for me in person. And they move me so deeply, and I keep asking him, can you just, make a recording on your phone? I need this song in my life. And, he said, oh, I will. And, and I keep reminding him, and he says, I will. Tuesday, as I was integrating this life-changing experience of being in ceremony with you girls, what comes through on my phone but a text from Brian with this recording. And he finally just sat down, recorded it on his phone for me, and sent it to me. And honestly, I feel like I had to get ready for this. I had to make space and clear space in my life to receive this song, and I've been asking him to share it with me for a year, but I don't think I was ready. I think I had to go and get ready. And coming out of ceremony, I think I'm finally ready to receive this song and these codes, because again, this is not just a song he wrote. This is something that came through, and I think he doesn't even really know how to share these transmissions, because they are so deep, and there's a difference between these and his other music, which is also, beautiful, but just different. So I'll just say a couple quick words about this song and what it means to me, and then I'll just share it with you so you can listen. And I recommend listening with headphones if at all possible, just because, the phone, I know it doesn't have the best sound quality. And he was just recording this on his phone, so, the sound quality might not be the best, but I trust that you can still partake in the magic that is this song. So, first of all, I feel like Brian, I've always felt that like he has fairies in his voice, and I know that can sound a little funny. It certainly sounds kind of weird to me to say that, but it's just the closest way to explain how I feel about listening to his voice. Like, I know my brother's voice, and he has a beautiful voice, but there's certain sounds that he makes that it's like, it just gives me chills. It feels like something is coming through, and it feels like a very, like, almost like this, like, fairy energy in his actual voice, if that makes any sense. And this is going back years now before I ever really let myself believe or know any connection with the Fae realm. But okay, the last thing I'll say about this song is that it is a love letter. It's written as a love letter from the perspective of Jesus to his 12 disciples. So I'm sure many of us are pretty familiar with the story of basically the Last Supper, the hours leading up to Jesus' crucifixion. So Jesus and his 12 disciples went into the upper room, to have a final meal together. Jesus washed the feet of the disciples. Of course, Jesus knows the whole time that Judas is going to betray him. But Jesus also has to watch as the other 11 disciples experience watching one of them betray Jesus. And of course, Peter, is very angry about this, and he actually takes out his sword and he, swings at Judas, and and then of course the background story is that Herod, who's the emperor of Rome, is looking for Jesus, because Jesus is known as this rebel who's kind of, from the point of view of the government, the Roman government, Jesus is inciting this uprising. And there's a man named Pontius Pilate, who is like more of the local magistrate, like a mayor, reporting up to Herod, the emperor. And so Pontius Pilate was, he sent out his guards looking for Jesus that night. And Judas went and found the guards, and he said, okay, come with me. And the guard said, how will we know which one is Jesus? How will we know which one to arrest? And Judas said, you'll know him when I give him a kiss. So there was that betrayal with the kiss. And Jesus is taken to Pontius Pilate to stand trial, and of course ends up being convicted to death, and carries the cross up the hill. And after hanging on the cross, the guards pierce his side with a sword, and from that wound flows blood and water. And of course his body is taken down and put into the tomb, and just to leave death behind and come out of the tomb. So that's just kind of the backstory and the context, but I think, even just to listen to the song without that is still very powerful. But just wanted to share, and yeah, I love you girls, and enjoy this beautiful transmission. So, I have my brother Brian here with us today. Hi, Brian.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on. It's a treat.
Thank you for sharing this song with us, and I would love to hear in your own words, how did this song come about?
Well, it came about very spontaneously and without much thought, if I'm honest. I was just sitting down with a cup of coffee and a guitar, and it just kind of came to me. I actually honestly don't remember writing it, or at least starting it. Like most songs, it required some tweaking as things went on, but it kind of came all as one piece, and I just remember it being there. I don't remember when it started, and that I'm not usually that way. Usually I work on songs for a week, 2 weeks, a month before it all comes together, but Abide just started.
Could you tell us a little bit about the backstory? Where did these lyrics come from?
Well, it came out of a desire to write a song that puts the last few hours of Jesus' life before he was crucified into a really dramatic and vital context. Because usually people hear it around Easter, and if they hear it at all, it's in a building with really high ceilings and people dressed in robes or people dressed in their Sunday best. And it's not really in the context of our real life. Everyone's kind of on their best behavior. But this story really did happen, and it was full of the drama that we all experience in our day-to-day lives. It started with a dinner party. It went on with a betrayal of a friend. There's heartbreak in there. There's disappointment in there, just like our real lives. And I wanted to put it in that context.
Thank you. I would also love to hear you share about what the word abide means to you. It's not something we use in conversation very often, and it's a beautiful word. What does the word abide mean to you?
Abide to me means to live in. So abide has a funny cousin, abode, that you may have heard of, like welcome to my abode. But that's just a word meaning the place I live in. And so when Jesus is saying to his friends, abide in me, he is saying live in me, just like branches live on a vine. Jesus is saying to us, his friends, to live in him, because that's the only way those branches can produce grapes, is if they're connected to the vine, where there's water, where it's connecting. It's the same with us. Anytime we want to be loving, anytime we want to be kind, anytime we want to be merciful, the only way for that to happen is for us to abide in him. And that's what that word means to me.
Let's have a dinner party where I can wash your feet, where just 12 are invited, yet one gets up to leave. Pay Judas no mind, I am the way, the truth, the life. When the rooster crows 3 times, abide, abide, abide. Let's go now to a garden, but try not to fall asleep. trade with a kiss. Peter swings his sword and missed. So go put away your sword now. I have got legions if I wish, and pay Pilate no mind. You are the branches, I am the vine. Though they pierce my side, abide, abide, abide. Behold, this is your mother. Behold, this is your son. How you love one another is how you're known by anyone. And as they take my body down, there is a darkness in the clouds, because even the sun is weeping. It is a cosmic kind of frown. But pay death no mind. I'm the resurrection and the life. Though they bled me dry, abide, abide, abide. Pay death no mind. I am alive, alive, alive. Though you fear the times, abide, abide, abide.
Okay, now we will decode it for Ascension. I'm going to read a verse and then I'm going to give the interpretation. So, the first verse is, let's have a dinner party where I can wash your feet, where just 12 are invited, yet one gets up to leave. So the downloads that I received of this verse are, the dinner party is the incarnation. It's why we're here. It's this time-space reality that we all chose to come to, okay? This is and I have goosebumps saying it, so this is the moment. This is our moment. And the washing your feet portion is to cleanse the stuck emotions and cleanse the roots of our lineages and our past lives. So when we think of washing the feet, we're washing, bringing truth, bringing nurturance to our roots, our feet, what we are grounded here with, like allowing that to bubble up and to be nourished. And then where just 12 are invited is the 12 fractals of our monad. And if you've been following me for a long time, you know I've known this for a while, that we are not here alone. The deeper we get into our experience, we understand that there are many energies working through us in other dimensions. Now, some people call them spirit guides. I knew from a pretty early start in my journey that they felt like me. It wasn't separate from me. So the 12 fractals are the 12 that are invited to this dinner party are literally, the dinner party is the incarnation. The fractals are our higher selves. Like we have 12 fractals, okay? So that's the 12 that are invited to this dinner party. And one gets up to leave. Now, this one to me feels like the lower self. It can be the ego. It can be the body. It is the one of this incorporated 12 that is the lowest in dimension. So when it says that one gets up to leave, it's saying that we've incarnated and one has to go through this incarnated experience of forgetting. It's the, I know I'm choosing to bring my energy down at this time, but I know I have to go through the veil of remembering again. So to me, that's the one that gets up to leave. And then the next verse is, pay Judas no mind. I am the way, the truth, the light. When the rooster crows 3 times, abide, abide, abide. So Judas, as I said, is the ego or the lower mind. And we're paying him no mind because we knew as the 12 fractals that we were coming down to forget, to go into the veil, to understand that we had to find our way out of the matrix to remember. So it's this understanding that it's not a betrayal. It's something that we all agree to, and it is part of our self, right? Like we can't put it outside of ourselves as a betrayal because it's us. And then the way, the truth, the light. This to me, I love that it came in 3s. As I was like tuning into this verse, that was the first message that I got, is the way, the truth, the light. It's bringing in the energy of 3, which then the next line says, and when the rooster crows 3 times. So what I got from that is we have the body, mind, spirit, or the lower self, higher self monad, or the ego, soul monad. And you can use any of the verbiages of those that you like, but essentially when the rooster crows 3 times, it's time to embody and incorporate all of our 3 areas of the monad, right? Of the higher being, which, as we know, the body is the experience that we're having here. It's the ego. Until we've awakened, that's the body. The mind is can be called the higher self or the soul. It's the part of us that has the capacity to move into higher dimensions and understand that we are not the ego. But there is this incorporation that needs to happen in order to understand that. And then the third one is the spirit, the monad, and it is the 13th. I'm just going to say it as that for now. But it is the part of us that understands that we diluted and came down into this experience so that we could allow our higher energy to move into this plane and this space reality. I also want to start talking about abide. Now, this word to me felt foreign, and I actually had a conversation with Faith about it, and then that's why she ended up asking Brian to give us his interpretation of this word. Before we got Brian's interpretation of to live in, what I felt it as is this is our predicament. This is what we agreed to. This is why we came. And it's instead of pushing it away, it's accepting the fate or allowing with grace what is. And then we move to, now let's go to a garden, but try not to fall asleep. Yet somewhere in your nightmares, you can still hear me weep. When I've been betrayed with a kiss, Peter swings his sword and missed. Go put away your sword now. I have legions if I wish. Okay, so for me, let's go now to a garden. To me, this is the matrix. This is, okay, we know that we're here, mind, body, spirit, and yet we choose to go into the matrix. We choose to go into the garden of good and evil. We choose this experience. And it's try not to get lost. Don't try not to fall asleep. But yet we all are asleep when we're born into this experience because of the conditioning that we go through. But it's reminding us that there is the choice. So try not to fall asleep. Yet somewhere in your nightmares, you can still hear me weep. This is, your intuition is always calling you even when you're asleep. You get those hits. You know what you should and shouldn't do. It's just we are so deeply conditioned that we think, I can't do that, or I have to do this, but yet you can always hear the sounds of your soul talking to you. Then it's when I've been betrayed with a kiss is, to me, the betrayal of Judas in this moment of the kiss. To me, this was actually, if I'm honest, the hardest one for me to decode, because the only reason that it comes across as a betrayal in the story of Jesus is because we're looking at it from the perspective of the mind, or the third dimension, which is when we go through the dark night, we think it's a betrayal. We think it's like, what's wrong with me? Why am I feeling this way? Why does it hurt so bad? Like, in some cases, people want to end their lives through the dark night. And instead, it's actually coded as a kiss, because it's what you planted in yourself as a remembrance that if you can accept and allow this experience to flow through you, it is the kiss. It is love, but it looks like it's a betrayal until you see the other side of it. And I always talk about my dark night was infertility. And now, I can't express to you guys enough how grateful I am for that experience, and also how grateful I am that I'm not a mother in this time-space reality. That comes up for me a lot, and not that I don't love children, because I do, but I know that I would not have been able to go this deep in my own experience had I had children. So it's understanding that betrayal with a kiss is actually you helping you find yourself back home. And then Peter swings his sword and missed. And then it says, put away your sword now. I've got legions if I wish. So to me, this is the ego kicking in and being like, I don't accept this reality. I'm going to fight it. I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to bury it. I'm going to watch TV to not let it in. I'm going to do whatever I can to kill it, right? To get it out of my consciousness. But he misses because you can't. It's literally there following you every incarnation until you receive the gift that it is. And then it's saying, put away the sword, because we have the legions if I wish. If we were not meant to have this experience, it wouldn't be happening. We chose it for ourselves. We are the ones that have the legions. We are the ones that chose this experience. So there's no point of fighting it. And then pay Pilate no mind. You are the branches, I am the vine. Though they pierce my side, abide, abide, abide. So to me, pay Pilate no mind is pay society conditionings and the polarity of this reality no mind. Because you are the branches and I am the vine is an extension of source. When we let go of the conditioning and the polarity of this reality, we understand that we're here and a part of something so much bigger than the chaos that is enveloping us in this reality. And all we have to do is remember that it comes from inside, because if you think about a branch on a vine, it literally grows from the inside. It is being nourished from that tree that is source. And I think this line to me is the reminder of finding your center and realizing that you're not part of the chaos. You are an observer of the chaos. And then, though they pierce my side, abide, abide, abide. To me, this was that the pierce in the side feels like the veil that was put onto us as a consciousness when we came into this experience. Like, okay, we come in, and when we get past our dark night and we remember, oh, wait, I am something more than this experience. There's still the reality of the veil, which is that you have to go through the journey of coming down from the cross and understanding that you have to work the journey. You have to find your gifts. You have to follow the synchronicities, follow the clues, and understand that all of them, good and bad, are the medicine for you. This melody that he hums, it feels like the salve of this knowing, the elixir, the honey on the wound of the heart that is in the process of remembering, oh, I did choose this. This is actually for me, not against me. So to me, that chorus kind of is this lulling of a lullaby. And then we have abide, abide, abide. And again, we're back to this place of acceptance, allowing, living in, like not trying to escape it with our distractions. And then the next phrase is, behold, this is your mother. Behold, this is your son. How you love one another is how you're known by anyone. So to me, this one is, behold, this is your mother. That is the 13th number. That is, we have our fractals, and the monad or Jesus Christ would be the 13th. As you know, there's the 12 disciples, and Jesus is the 13th. So behold, this is your mother is the archetype of the feminine energy. Now, the lyric says, behold, this is your son, S-O-N. But as I listened to this, what I felt is, behold, this is your son, which means to me is our local sun. And the local sun holds the codes and source energy for us in this incarnation, for us to remember. So it's basically, this line is saying, I am the archetype, I am the light of the sun. This is who's speaking to you. This was how you physically were here to remember that you come from light, you come from source. And then how you love one another is how you're known by anyone. This is what I'm wanting to depart or share with you guys, is that the only way that you share and are known for who you actually are is by sharing your gift, sharing your voice, sharing your medicine. And what happens is you create this toroidal field that draws in the vibrations that are you. So that's how you're known by anyone. And by anyone, it's the ones that are here to support us on this journey. Once you realize that and you put your frequency out there, they're automatically attracted to you. And then the next line is, as they take my body down, there is a darkness in the clouds, because even the sun is weeping. It is a cosmic kind of frown. Okay, this one is, as they take my body down. And again, I'm interpreting this from the sun's perspective, that the source energy perspective. As they take my body down, think about our conditioning and how we have been conditioned to view the sun as something poisonous, and that we need to block ourselves, we need to stay inside, we need to not be around the sun. To me, this is, they take my body down, and there is a darkness in the clouds. Again, this is the conditioning of us being told that the sun is bad for us. We're being asked to not receive the codes of these higher beings and these higher frequencies, to literally move through our pores. And it's this because even the sun is weeping, and it's a cosmic kind of frown, is to me the central sun. Now, as you know, our planet is spiraling towards the central sun. And as we move closer, the density is lifting. As you guys know, the frequency is increasing, and we're remembering more and more. But when this happened and we were being conditioned to not accept the love of our sun and this darkness in the clouds, the sun, the galactic sun, the central sun was weeping, and it's a cosmic frown, because it's, even though it is our predicament and this polarity of this planet needs to play out, it's still the cosmos weeping, because we ripple out to the entire experience. So to me, this line is about understanding that we are just a fractal of something so much bigger. And then the next one is, but pay death no mind. I'm the resurrection and the life. Though they bled me dry, abide, abide, abide. So pay death no mind is, wow, this is life, man. This is the cycle. This is, we go through this over and over and over again. And can you remember? When you start remembering your past lives, you realize like this is just a blip in the spectrum of your soul. And so when we say pay death no mind, I'm the resurrection and the life. I'm the one that comes back. I am life. This is life. Like, it doesn't happen if I'm not here, because we are literally living in our own simulation. So understanding that when we choose, or when in this experience, Jesus Christ lets go of the vessel. And again, these are all archetypal energies. So when you choose to go through a death, now it doesn't have to be a physical body death, but a death of the ego, a death of the lower mind, pay it no mind, because the resurrection and the life is what's going to now move through your heart portal. And then this is like, oh, yes. And again, it's, though they bled me dry, abide, abide, abide. You had to shed. Like I talk about it as being an onion that lets go of those layers on the outside that are already crumply and ready to fall off, and they're like paper. It's just shedding that and allowing that to just fall down. It's dry. Let it go and accept. Like, again, we're back into this live in it. Abide, abide, abide. And then the next line is, pay death no mind, I am alive, alive, alive. Though you fear the times, abide, abide, abide. Okay, so for me, this is, again, we're paying death no mind, because I am alive, alive, alive. Who's the I am? We are the I ams. Instead of it now going from an energy, this resurrection happened, and we were born into this planet to become the sun, to be the energy of the cosmos, to bring our light here. And that's why we see this everywhere. The I am. We are the light, the light, the light. It goes from being a one-sourced single expression to a multiple expression spread out all over the globe. And we are here to shine ourselves, to be alive, alive, alive. And it's, though you fear the times. Now, this is where that piece, and I'm going to go back to Mary Magdalene's story, is this fear of being persecuted. And it's saying, though you fear the times, why is that? Because we carry that in our DNA. But again, we end with abide, 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 which is we are in a new time-space reality. This is the time. So the fear is natural. We just have to feel it and move through it. And we will be able to express ourselves, how we each individually came here to do it. And I want to also point out, no two expressions are the same. So when you think like, oh, that person's already doing this podcast or this whatever, it doesn't matter because it's not coming from your codes. You need to get your codes out there. And so the whole point of this story is the whole arc of ascension and understanding. In the end, you have to be alive. You have to express that uniqueness. And even if it feels like there is not a soul in the world that will reflect you back to you, it's just because you haven't met them yet. You have to open up your light and allow others to see it, and that it's like the codes that unlock their codes. So I hope that you enjoyed this beautiful transmission as much as I did. I have this song on repeat in my life right now, and just from the mere fact that it brought in that Mary Magdalen book, I know it's already working. I know that the remembrance is helping me to understand why I have the fears that I carry, because ultimately we can live in that loop. Oh, like I've been in this same loop for a year and a half, and finally I found the codes to move past the loop. So use this as an activation to help you understand yourself in a deeper way, to move you past whatever that circling around the drain is doing. Because again, we always want to move into our spiral, but we can't until we get past these anchors. So I love you guys deeply. And I'm so, again, thank you, Faith. Thank you, Brian. I am so just humbled by this transmission. And also know that it's a reflection of my experience because it came to me. It was shared with me. And I know that as we share our light, other lights find you and they share that light with you. And then it's like this celebration of everyone's light. So I love you, and I'll see you guys next week.